Alrighty, good morning and welcome to today's episode of TrainingPeaks. More importantly, welcome to Etape Tour 2024. Alrighty, good morning and welcome to today's episode of TrainingPeaks. I'm currently in Nice on the Côte d'Azur in the south of France, and today I'm doing l'Etape Tour 2024. Now l'Etape Tour is a 138 kilometer, 4,600 meter Grand Fondo. Starts in Nice and heads north towards the French Alps actually. Today we've got 4 massive climbs on the cards, including the Col de Turini, the Col de Braus, one other, and then we end up the Col de Couillole, I think it's called. This is actually the same as stage 20 of the Tour de France itself. By the time this video goes live, we will know who ran and won stage 20 and the overall of the Tour de France as well. We're about 2 weeks out from that point right now. Today there are 16,000 people doing this event, so it's absolutely massive. I think it might even be one of the largest fondos you can do on earth, and I've actually been brought over here by Tissot. So Tissot are the official timekeeping partner, not only the Tour de France, but of course l'Etape Tour today as well. And they very kindly invited me over here, and they've also sorted me out with a very nice Tissot PR100 Tour de France edition watch, a beautiful little quartz chronograph that looks really stunning. It came on a metal bracelet, but I put it on the special Tour de France edition strap as well that it comes with. So thanks to Tissot for sorting me out with that. So I've just rolled over to Nice to the start here. I've got about half an hour until my start time. Because this event has so many people, there are 16,000 people doing it, we're setting off in waves of 1,000. So I've got a starting time that I need to be in my starting pen, and then I've got a starting time that I actually roll out at. The course is fully closed roads, so a pretty epic day out there. They're really trying to recreate that Tour de France feel of being on closed roads. There's a lot of gendarmerie around, there's heaps of volunteers. Yesterday I actually drove over from Girona. It's usually about a 5.5 hour drive from Girona, or maybe 6 hours, but last night it took me almost 8 hours to get here because of some gnarly traffic in the very south of France there. So by the time I got here it was dark and the event village was actually closed. I didn't have a chance to pick up my race number and I was kind of freaking out, but thankfully Eloise from Tissot went and grabbed my number for me. I went and picked up my race bag from her, and then I headed off to where I was staying last night, which is actually on, this sounds real bougie, actually on my parents' boat. You guys might have seen in past videos I've talked about the fact that my parents have sailed all the way up to the Mediterranean from Australia. They've spent the last 12 months sailing up to the Mediterranean. They were in Girona a few weeks ago and now they're over in Nice, so I got to go and stay on the boat with them, just kind of outside of Nice. So I woke up this morning on the boat, got ready, and then I've headed off to the start line now. Today I'm riding my new BMC Team Machine SLR01. I made a video about this in my last video, so you can have a look at that if you'd like to. And yeah, I'm measuring my power today using Favero Asioma Duo Shimano pedals. So I'm going to be talking a bit about my power later on. For the moment, I want to go and do the event, see how I go. I'm going to push hard on the pedals. I'm going to cruise down the descents. I definitely want to go as quick as I can. I'm going to head off to the start now, and yeah, wish me luck. first climb, first descent out the way. That's the Col de Braus, I believe. First big one with all those switchbacks, super beautiful, so many people around. Just kind of using everyone as a carrot on the stick up the road, chasing them all down and trying to go past. Got about 2Ks along this flat bit of valley here, and then it's up the Col de Turini. This is going to be a beast. This is like 20Ks long. I don't know what percentage, but I know it's a lot. There's a lot of broken bodies up here. They were in the front 1,000. Alrighty, last climb coming up. Let's do this. Alright, 2.5 Ks to go. I'm gone. I am dead. So cooked. Thank God I've only got a couple of Ks to go. My power's just dropped off a cliff. Got the goosebumps. Just gonna roll this one in and finish it off. Bonjour. Bonjour.
By the faces I see, you can see the suffering and you can see the joy. C'est tellement impressionnant de vous voir terminer. On voit autant la souffrance que le bonheur d'avoir terminé.
Oofed. Alrighty, so there you have it. That was my L'Etape de Tour for 2024. An epic day out there. As you can see, I pushed pretty hard on the pedals. I chilled the descents And then I completely blew in the last few kilometers of the event. I had a great day out there though. I was really happy with my finishing result and my finishing time. I would have liked to have gone a little bit quicker, but I'm going to talk about that soon. It's actually been 2 weeks since I did that event, and the Tour de France has now rolled through. Tadej Pogačar won that stage 20, and then of course he won the overall. We all know that by now, showing how much of a weapon he is. He crossed the line like it was nothing, but I can tell you it was an extremely difficult course. So what I thought I would do is do a bit of a time comparison between my times up the climbs and my powers versus some of the better guys out there who did it during the tour. So for me, crossing the finish line, I finished l'Etape de Tour in 5 hours and 42 minutes. This gave me an overall place of 233rd out of 10,595 finishes. I was 231st in the men's category, and I was 29th out of 1,200 in my age category. There are definitely some things I could have done to go a little bit quicker on the day, but as I said at the start of the day, I really wanted to just ride the climbs firm and then chill on the descents. I'm not a big fan of descending like crazy when there's heaps and heaps of amateur cyclists around like that. According to TrainingPeaks, I normalized 250 watts for 5 3/4 hours, and I averaged 210 watts. This gives me an average watts per kilo for the entire race of about 3.4 and a normalized power of just over 4 watts a kilo. My average heart rate was 164 and my max heart rate was 189, which indicates that I was very fresh for the event. And then my training stress score for the ride was 328. So this is not an absolutely mammoth number, but 328 for 5 3/4 hours is still a pretty reasonable amount of TSS, and it is a good indicator as to why I was feeling so cooked once I did finally cross the line. So those are the numbers, but now let's jump into how the race played out and also what my times are like and my speed and power compared to the best guys who rode it. As I mentioned at the start of the video, for this event we rolled out in groups of 1,000. So you nominate your estimated finish time when you sign up, and the event organizers put you in a starting group with other riders of your same level. This means that the fastest riders go first, rolling out at 7 AM, and then it dropped down from there. The course started gradually uphill on some pretty main roads, and then it hit the category 3 Col de Nice. Now, while Col de Nice wasn't officially in the road book, at 5.5 Ks in length at around 5% average gradient, it's definitely a climb. It included a couple of switchbacks and heaps of people all over the road. And for this climb, I averaged 288 watts or 4.68 watts a kilo for the 14 minutes and 44 seconds it took me. For reference, the pro peloton on stage 20 of the tour this year did the same climb in around 10 minutes. After Col de Nice, we took a quick little descent down before starting the first main climb, which was the Col de Braus at kilometer 21. Col de Braus is a Cat 2 climb, 9.7 Ks in length at 6.3% average gradient. It's a super switchbacky climb that was actually relatively easy in terms of length and gradient, and it was quite consistent the entire way up, which was really nice. It meant you could just stay on the pedals in a very consistent way. I ended up normalizing 291 watts for the 32 minutes that this took me, which is around 4.7 watts per kilo. If you watched this stage of the tour, you will have seen there was plenty of riders attacking and chasing each other during the Col de Braus, trying to get the breakaway going. So Bruno Amorai took the KOM on Braus during that stage, averaging 445 watts or around 5.9 watts a kilo for the 24 minutes it took him. So a little over a watt per kilo higher than I did it, but he did it for a full 8 minutes less. So much faster, but obviously much higher power. Once we crested the Col de Braus, we took a quick descent down the other side where I took it pretty easy. A word of advice for anyone doing l'Etape de Tour in future or any cyclo-sportif event like this is to look at the map on your cycling computer, especially on the descents, before you look at anything else. One of the most common causes of crashes on descent is people trying too hard to get past each other without paying attention to what's coming up, which is often in the Alps or the Pyrenees at 180-degree bend. So you're better off looking at your map and knowing what's coming and not just trying to get past the next person, because I did see a number of ambulances on the course who were attending to people who had gone down, and I'm guessing it's for that exact reason. Once we were off the Col de Braus, we had a couple of Ks of flat before starting the biggest climb of the day, which was the Col de Turini. Turini is actually a bit of a beast of a climb. It's over 20 kilometers in length and it averages 6% in gradient, but it has a flat section in the middle, so the two climbing sections of Col de Turini are actually a little bit steeper than that, and it takes quite a long time to get to the top. The Col de Turini took me 1 hour and 3 minutes, and I normalized 281 watts or around 4.5 watts a kilo for the entire thing. I was pretty happy to see though that this was only 7.5 minutes slower than Tadej Pogačar did it during the tour. Granted, his heart rate was probably around zone 2, while my heart rate was definitely in the high zone 4 for the same effort. Also, having said that, the breakaway during the tour rode Turini a full 4 minutes faster than the peloton, showing how chill the peloton was going at this point of their race. At the top of the Col de Turini, I took a very short break to refill my bottles because by this stage I was 65 k's and about 2 hours 40 minutes in, and then I started the descent down to the next valley where it did start raining a little bit, but thankfully it didn't get too wet. Once we were off the Turini, we had a long valley road before starting the third climb, which was the Col de Colmian. The time section of the Colmian during l'Etape du Tour was only 7.3 k's long, but when you look on Strava, the Strava segment for the climb includes a large portion of valley beforehand, so you're actually climbing for about 16.5 kilometers at 5.4% average gradient. This 16-kilometer climb was where I really began to feel the previous two efforts, so I knocked the power off a little bit and normalized 240 watts or around 3.9 watts a kilo for the 55 minutes that it took me. For reference, Remco Evenepoel, Tadej Pogačar and Joao Almeida completed the same section during the Tour de France in just over 38 minutes at around an estimated 5.5 watts a kilo. So quite a lot faster, a higher power. Obviously they're just better bike riders, so they're getting to the top of the climb much quicker than I was. Now it was at the top of the Col de Colmian where I really decided that I would have a small break. By this stage I'd ridden 101 kilometers and climbed 3,300 meters in 4 hours, so a couple of minutes break was much needed. After that break and the refresh, we started the long descent down to the final valley. That descent was super flowy and with less riders around, it was a little more carefree. I can definitely say the chill descending throughout the day cost me quite a lot of time, but with the perfect weather and the smooth roads, I was more than happy to cruise and enjoy before that final climb began. You can see here I was a good 4 minutes slower than Australia's Jack Haig for the same downhill segment that he did during the tour. But I can say I probably enjoyed myself more. I just cruised down behind a couple of other riders, enjoyed myself lots, and then it was time to start the final climb, which was the Col de la Couillole. Once I hit the bottom of the Couillole, I had started to feel really good because I'd just been cruising down that descent and I'd had that little break at the top. So I hit it really hard, which started out for better, but then definitely ended up for worse. The Col de la Couillole is a horsecat climb. It's 15.7 kilometers in length at around 7.5% average gradient, climbing 1,146 meters. I was aiming to complete it in just under an hour, but as they say, the best laid plans and all that. For the first 10 Ks and 42 minutes of Couillole, I averaged 261 watts, around 4.2 watts a kilo, so a number that I was pretty happy with. For reference though, Tobias Johannesson set the fastest time for this segment during the Tour de France stage, and he was an entire 12 minutes quicker than I was with an average of 344 watts. For me though, it was after this first 10 Ks where the reels really began to fall off. With 5 Ks to go, exhaustion set in, and as you can see from the power graph for each of the segments going further and further up the climb here, I steadily began to wilt. By the last 3 kilometers, I was deep in a hole and just trying to get myself across the line. Comparatively, it was at this point where Tadej Pogačar and Jonas Vingegaard jetted off from the rest of the peloton and only got quicker from there. Tadej rode the final 4.8 kilometers of the climb in 11 minutes and 32 seconds to win his 5th stage for this year's tour, an entire minute quicker than Remco Evenepoel for the same segment. Meanwhile, I absolutely crept under the Flamme Rouge with the final 4.8 kilometers taking me a whopping 27 minutes, including a 3-minute sit on the side of the road with 800 meters to go, which is incredibly embarrassing for me to admit. The fact that I had to come to a full 3-minute standstill with 800 meters to go in an event is ridiculous. It's the first time I've ever come to a complete stop in a road race without wanting to. But I felt so blown, I was so shaky, there was nothing else I could do. I couldn't even hold 150 watts to get myself up the climb. So I came to a stop, I had a sit, and then I got back on my bike and I rolled across the finish line with my tail between my legs. My time for the entire Couillole climb was 1 hour and 8 minutes ride time, or 1 hour and 10 minutes of ride time if you include that little stop that I had there. One thing I will say though is I am pretty happy with my power. I normalized 245 watts or just under 4 watts a kilo for that final climb, but that was aided heavily by the fact that I did a strong first 2/3 and then a very weak last third. Also by comparison, Pogačar rode the climb in 39 minutes, so a full 30 minutes quicker than I did, which was obviously pretty impressive, but shows why he's right up there winning his third Tour de France. I did have a really good day out there though, despite blowing so hard in that last couple of Ks of the event. I want to say a massive thank you to Tiso for taking me out there. Now for you guys, if you've enjoyed this video and you got something out of it, I hope you will whack a like on the video, and I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. I do actually have a bunch of training videos coming next, so you guys might enjoy those if you're into this kind of riding and racing thing. For the moment, I will see you guys all in another episode of Tristan Take Video very, very soon. Thanks guys, adeu.